So as hopefully most of you know, I released a video titled A Mountain of Lies and No Self-Awareness Exposing Theo-T3GG, who I would just call Theo because that's his name. So how did this video come about? Over a year ago, this dude Theo harassed a company called Honeypot because he did a reaction to their video, re-uploading their entire documentary to his YouTube channel. This confused them greatly, and so they were unsure as what to do about it initially. So they asked him to make it a little bit better a few times over the course of 2 or 3 days. They said, hey, can you just remove the ads or actually credit us in the title? We see that you've cropped off the credits. Could you at least link to our video at the end of your video? They didn't know exactly what to do, but after a couple of days, they talked amongst themselves and they seemed to be like, why are we going to all this effort to accommodate this guy who re-uploaded our video to his YouTube channel? And so they said a very kind message where they're like, look, we appreciate that content creation is no easy task. However, after talking with the rest of our team and our management, we would kindly ask you to remove the video from your channel. And Theo goes buck wild on Twitter. This Honeypot company had 10,000 followers and he had 50,000. He is just fucking dogpiling them, slamming into them, tweet after tweet. I would kindly request that anyone who understands how the internet works refuse to work with Honeypotio in the future. They have made vague threats to DMCA me throughout for re-uploading their entire documentary they spent over a year on, and they did nothing more than watch. I even gave them the pinned comments, the benevolence. Theo always made sure to add Honeypotio to maximize the harassment that they received in the comments, of which between his dozen tweets, there were hundreds. I would be asleep, but I'm legit so pissed. He started to mute the replies of Honeypot, explaining why they did this. Honeypot has been terrible to me by not letting him re-upload the entirety of their documentary that they spent over a year on. So I'm not letting them use my replies as a platform. They can make whatever public statement they want, but they're not doing it here. And I'm like, this is just a guy bullying people because they made a documentary and didn't want him to re-upload it. It was one of the most sick things I've seen. And so I wrote one tweet where I'm like, dude re-uploaded an entire documentary with himself reacting in the corner the same day it was released. The team who spent months making it told him to take it down. He's now enraged, believing it is transformative and fair use. He demands no one work with the original creator. And Theo's like, why are you harassing me, bro? It was literally one quote tweet. That is literally not what happened. I reacted on stream out of public demand, uploaded the VOD that nice, had good relations with the team, was asked to make changes and did, and then got vague threats. The team used to be friends. They no longer are. They were friends until the very moment Theo couldn't use them for free content. That's not friendship, that's an abusive relationship. The second Honeypot wasn't useful to Theo, attacking on Twitter, dogpiling. No one work with these people. I don't know why you're harassing me in a weird moment where I was fucked over, but go off, I guess. To be clear, the so-called harassment he's referring to here is the exactly one quote tweet that I read before. Still to this day, very strange. So I did a ramble on this. It's an unlisted ramble currently, but you can find it via the playlist that is on the Rambles channel. So it's episode 326 titled Creator Attacked for Not Wanting Reactions. It got 50,000 views at the time, got a few more as the years went on, but it's now unlisted, right? So you can only find it here. So this is a done and dusted story, right? It's barely a thing. I haven't thought about it in a billion years. But obviously Theo as an entity still existed. So over the months after that event, where Theo clearly acted in the wrong, regardless of why the dispute happened or how much miscommunication there was, him dogpiling and attacking them on Twitter just because they made a documentary and didn't want it on his YouTube channel was uncalled for. Especially considering that he started to delete their messages or mute their messages or whatever, so they couldn't have any voice in the communication. So bad was their harassment that I actually received an email from their team saying thank you for defending us, because, it was clearly traumatizing. Hi DarkViperAU, I'm the filmmaker from Honeypot who made the React documentary, which became the pinnacle of this whole Theo reaction drama. I just wanted to say a big thank you from me and our team for sharing your support and putting focus on this whole fair use topic. We really appreciate it. We're trying to stay out of this whole debacle to not instigate further, but I just wanted to make sure you know that we see you and we are thankful. I also want to say that you have some really nice followers who've been commenting on the video and sharing their support. Really shows what a nice community you have built, and I hope you're proud of the impact you're having. So this is a non-story. Only, relatively speaking, a very small amount of people heard about this story, and it was old news. But in the years since then, I've seen Theo multiple times on Twitter being like, DarkViperAU is garbage. He's the worst person ever. He harassed me so much this one time. I did nothing wrong. I was the best boy ever. And DarkViper's so evil. He's picking on me, hating on me for no reason. I was like, this is some really deranged shit. But I also saw, for example, that Luke from The Wen Show interacted with him in a very cordial way. And I was like, oh, well, maybe he isn't that bad of a guy as I thought. But it turns out, no, Theo is actually just a cruel, vindictive, egotistical asshole. Since then, I've received multiple videos of him on his live streams, shit-talking me and Honeypot massively, I'm talking massively, misrepresenting things in the most, obviously misrepresentative kind of ways possible. There's this tactic in fascist propaganda where the enemy is both strong and weak. I'm not an expert in fascism, but it's the one aspect of fascism that most people know. And you see this in Theo's rhetoric about me all the time, where I'm the biggest, strong, powerful bully hitting on the weak little Theo. Theo just always so good and wonderful. And this Mr. Dark Viper breaking down his house and burning his books, I don't know. But then at the same time, whenever it's necessary, I'm like, DarkViperAU washed. He just complain about React content because he gets no views. He's got no audience. No one cares about him. No one's cared about him in 5 years. I'm listening to this over and over again. I have never heard a person work this hard to misrepresent reality to maintain their own ego. And so coincidentally, a few days ago, I got sent another one of these clips. And in these clips, I shit you not, he says outright, I do not react to videos on my live stream because other people's videos are shit and mine are better.
I find that when I'm reacting to somebody's video, the quality of my video is limited by the quality of theirs. And no offense to most creators, but my videos are better than theirs. So reacting to their videos is just dragging down the quality of mine. And it's a balance that I specifically try to find. So that's the main reason why I don't do it.
Other people's videos drag down my content, so I don't watch them. His videos are just the best in the world. And I was just like, wow, I have never seen a person with this much of an ego. And let's understand, from this person, there were many other, apparently these events are not uncommon on his live stream. This was just a 5-minute clip. I had the whole context, but I'm in my video, I only cover 5 minutes where Theo just goes off on this most deranged, obviously false rant. I don't mean we have difference of opinions, sometimes we see things different ways. You can Google for 10 seconds and see that what he's saying must be false. And since I made this video, I got a bunch of messages from people and comments in the comment section where apparently Theo isn't respected by anyone. So speaking of the drama with Honeypot, there was this comment. I haven't read all the comments. Maybe we can look through them in a second, but these are just ones that I happened to catch while I was doing other stuff. I remember reading about this Honeypot thing on a forum I was on a few years ago. Holy shit, the reaction to what Theo did was violent. Guy must have a personality disorder to still be this sore over the negative reaction to this. He clearly fucked up, and people were mad. Independent of me, people were mad. As a software developer who is usually interested in technology topics, YouTube promotes his videos from time to time, and I occasionally check some of his videos. But my conclusion is always the same. Zero added value compared to just sharing the link to the tweet, video, blog post. It's just funny how he calls himself a creator while 95% of his videos are just reactions to something. Video, tweet, blog post, and reading the exact text as is. Then he hums and adds some meaningless notes every 1 to 1.5 minutes or promotes one of his earlier videos. I'm sure he's a talented ex-Twitch engineer, whatever that means in reality. I guess I should add ex-Google engineer, even if I never had anything to do with their big products. But based on what I've seen from him, he's just a mediocre developer, in my opinion, who jumps on the usual mainstream tech topics every time and gets too much attention compared to his talents. There are much more talented individuals on YouTube who get a fraction of Theo's views, yet they are still much better knowledgeable developers and make much better videos than him. I've tried to watch Theo's programming videos a couple of times, and they were absolutely mind-numbing shit, so I'm not surprised he turns to stealing and bullshitting because he clearly can't make anything of value of his own. I'm a dev and I know him quite well. He's a bad person so often. His ego will take prevalence and will just try to lie to us, his audience. We'll see how brain dead it is, especially since almost 80% of his viewers are above 25, not the usual kid that has kids as an audience. As a guy who is an expert with 20 years experience in stuff Theo covers, he is a complete clown. As someone who also watches Theo, I'm a web developer. I'm kind of in a tough spot where I think Theo actually does a good job of reviewing up and coming newer technologies, but someone else, me, doesn't have reaches to see every new tool that pops up in my industry. That being said, his petulance regarding being told to remove an entire documentary does show him in a bad light. Such super childish behavior and something I will keep in mind moving forward. Matt, you do a phenomenal job breaking all this down. Just wanted to let you know to keep up the good work. I got further proof in the video, and oof on Theo's recollection of what happened. Calling you schizophrenic is incredibly poor behavior. How pretentious he seems and what a negative light it paints on him. I just unsubscribed from Theo. The language these people use against others is unacceptable in my opinion, and I want nothing to do with that in my feed. I come to YouTube to escape the droll of the day, and I want to have fun and experience positivity. As a web developer, Theo is a thorn in my side. Juniors listen to and emulate him. He is, broadly speaking, a used car salesman and nothing more. Guy has always maintained an air of holier than thou, with little engagement with any actual critiques about his views or really bad engineering suggestions. He implicitly suggested for half a year that everyone should be on the latest, literally broken, unfinished version, without understanding that the app router was released in a terrible state. Read, Guy is not only insufferable, he's a pain in the ass to deal with for engineers. As a programmer, I assure you, we all aren't like Theo. And I shit you not, coincidentally, another person, independently of all this, they had no idea I was making a video, also sent me another thing. I'm sure you won't care me showing this. From D4MR, hoping you remember Theo, lol. Where someone compliments Theo and says, this man has just been pumping out a lot of great content. A lot, the dedication. To which Deformer says, it takes a lot of dedication to sit in front of a camera and read articles and blogs which other people have worked hard on. To which DeHarmony says, he's reading them in an entertaining way and also providing his own takes and opinions. So yeah, that's dedication. Deformer says, with all due respect, this is very lazy content. It takes no dedication to read a blog post, interject it with some thoughts, and churn out videos. I'm sorry if this looks like dedication to you. Look at creators like John for an example of what dedication looks like. There's many more, but off the top of my head, I think of him. I don't dislike Theo, but applauding him for pumping out a lot of great content is like applauding a tapeworm for effectively digesting someone else's lunch. It's just too disingenuous. In other words, most of what Theo does is finds articles that other people have spent, days, weeks writing, and then he reads them in a YouTube video and gives his thoughts as he goes.
How to deal with receiving a cease and desist letter from big tech. I'll say this is going to be a fun one.
It is the one step below reaction content that I've never taken a lot of effort to combat, in large part because there's more nuance to that is not as clear cut, in the sense that it's like when you're at university, where if you want to write an essay, obviously a lot of what you're going to be using is other people's work. You're going to be reading that person's work, you're going to be reading this person's work, you're going to be synthesizing a bunch of things from different sources, and then you put the sources at the end. But at the end of the day, it's still your essay. You're using other people's work, other people's hard work, but it's in your words. This is very different than, say, for example, taking someone else's essay, submitting it to university, and then giving your thoughts at the end of every paragraph or something. No university will accept that essay because it's not really your work. It is someone else's work that you're merely just giving your thoughts on as you go. If you've ever watched The WAN Show, for example, a part of what they do is cover news stories. They have writers, people who read widely, and then they synthesize all that and write some notes about the current event, and then that's discussed. That is very different than sitting on stream and reading someone else's essay or reading someone else's article. Communication would just shut down if only one person was able to communicate some true fact about reality and no one else was able to discuss that. So the discussion is good, but the not making your own and instead just most of your video being reading someone else's hard work is not a very good thing, in my view. Like my rambles here, as you can see, very rarely do I ever actually just look at someone else's article. It's giving my takes on things that clearly people either have not put a lot of effort into, Twitter, for example, or Reddit. But I don't like just reading other people's articles. It just seems so scummy. But this is in large part what Theo does, apparently, because it's hard to write a well-researched article every single day, but it's not hard to read someone else's article into a YouTube video every day and give your thoughts. Like, I consider things like Reddit and Twitter to be like the town square of stuff. Throwaway stuff that people haven't made necessarily for revenue is more about just communicating people's casual thoughts. The actual articles, which people put a lot of effort into, are not things that should just be consumed and spat out into a YouTube channel for money. But again, going back to Theo, even more coincidentally, there was a post on Reddit, on one of the developer Reddits, shit-talking him as well. So unfortunately the post here was removed, but a part of it was archived at least, not the edit underneath. But am I the only one that finds Theo kind of a plague in the dev space? He just reads blogs and streams his thoughts to boost his ego. He doesn't add anything of significant value, and every now and then comes off with some really bad takes that are just corporate, especially those towards people that get billed a lot on pass. I don't know what that is. After the stream, I received a DM that gave me the rest of the post that was removed. Edit. How often have any of us watched a video of his about something and actually gone to read it for ourselves after? I bet almost never, unless he just mentioned it without reading it. That goes to show that what we, the audience, are looking for is the content, not him. He's like a middleman, taking the ad revenue by reading what others have made. I do, however, want to acknowledge that reading announcement posts is okay, given that the goal of the announcement post is to be heard by as many people as possible. This doesn't apply to other types of content. Those are meant to be consumed by the end user, not be reposted by a middleman. He's just a prominent example of the degradation of the quality of the information space from influencers in general. Lots of flash and hot takes, extremely little in the way of quality content. Influencer-driven development is not as prominent in the actual industry as the influencers would have you believe. He's got one of the biggest dev egos I've ever seen. On the surface level, he comes across as this smart dude. Once you peel the first layer, you'll notice he's nothing more than a shit disturber with no actual knowledge to back up his hot takes. He's a Primegan wannabe, and the bootlicking he does to that dude is so cringe, sometimes haha. By the way, I don't think Primegan is that great of a person either, but at least he's got more knowledgeable. A lot of programming influencers do exactly this. Read articles someone else wrote and narrate it, interspersed with their hot take. It's an easy way for them to create low effort content regularly. Doesn't mean it's bad or good, but it is low effort. Again, a part of the reason why I'm bringing a lot of this up is he said that his videos are better than everyone else's, and that's why he doesn't react to videos. But it seems though, in large part his videos are just reading other people's articles. His videos are the most low effort, uncreative stuff possible that are largely built on what other people have made. It just seemed like how deluded a person could be in regards to their content. I mean, I did wonder from the sidelines how he was able to massively increase the amount of videos he was releasing, and this seems to be how. He's got hundreds, if not thousands, of writers working for him for free, where their job is to attract attention in the programming space to get eyeballs on their work in order for them to survive. And Theo is attempting to take their work to make that as hard as possible. Because why would you go read the original article when he's just going to read the entire article for you into a YouTube video? There's only so much demand that people have for programming news. So one of the most interesting things about Theo shit-talking me multiple times in his stream, as I cover in the video, massive Streisand effect. If he had never brought this up again, basically no one would have known about it, but his ego just couldn't let it go. My video was unlisted. It only had like 60,000 views. There was no reason for him to combat it or talk about it in any way, shape, or form. It would only make him look bad. This in comparison, say for example, with my issues with Moist Critical so long ago, between his videos and the videos other people made about those topics, they got like 10 million views. And you can understand why that stuck with me for a little while and was hard to get over, especially considering that many of the falsehoods from back then are still prevalent in discourse today, as shown by Willie Mac Show just moments ago. But for Theo, it was only 60,000. My audience and his audience had very little overlap. Very few people cared. It was a year ago. If he had never talked about it again, very few people would have known about it. But because he talked about it again, because he lied, that led to this video. All he had to do was shut up and not lie, and he couldn't do it. His ego just wouldn't let him. Even worse than this, he still couldn't shut up about it. So he wrote a bunch of tweets, which I'm now gonna have to go to a lot of effort to get because he's now blocked me. Theo started with a tweet. Oh great, the manic asshole decided to come at me again. Good morning at DarkViperAU. I hope you get the attention you're looking for. Obviously, I had no intention of bringing this up on Twitter, no engaging with Theo directly, but he ats me as he often does in his tweets. So there was some discussion that ended up happening on Twitter. So Theo says here, the first time DarkViperAU started a harassment campaign against me, I had been a YouTuber for under a year. I only had a few thousand subscribers. He had millions. So in my video, I directly showed this is all untrue. He had 100,000 subscribers. I didn't start a harassment campaign. I may have had slightly more than 1 million subscribers, but certainly my Ramble series was getting 60,000 views at best. And his videos were getting about the same amount of views, because obviously I wasn't a commentary YouTuber.
And then tweeted about it because I was pissed at them. And people got mad at me because this random fucking asshole schizophrenic dude from Australia who's been a washed up GTA streamer for like 5 years now decided that reaction content's why nobody watches his stuff and decided to make me the target of his 2 million subscriber audience when I had 20k subs.
And I would have gotten away with harassing them and deleting their messages if it wasn't for those damn Australians. Still, he will never take accountability. My channel only really started to take off 5 years ago, and I have since received well over 1 billion views. I'm not sure how you could call that washed up. Obviously, not only do people watch my stuff, but I have fought against React content every stage of my career, regardless of how successful I have been. Theo, of course, didn't have 20k subs. He had 100,000 subs, and received views on his videos comparable to my Ramble series in which he featured. He says, I didn't know what to do. That's not true, because obviously, he started this by attacking Honeypot. So he says here, I reached out asking for help. That's not true. All this had already happened. Then he tweeted at me like, can you stop harassing me, bro? All I did was tweet him once and then cover it in Rambles. And so he says here, how did I respond to his email? I linked a vid about why harassment is okay. This is obviously not true. It surprised me this tweet could have gotten 347 likes, because who in the world would make a statement, harassment is okay? Even if any of these people liking this were unwilling to watch my video, this should smell a little bit sus to anyone. You know? The gullibility of people is insane. So someone was pointing out that Theo apparently said some weird stuff in these emails. Sake of clarity, the emails he sent me a year ago. Hey man, Theo here, the guy you just beat to shit in a YouTube video. Again, to be clear, the video had 50,000 views. It was just, one of many videos. It wasn't particularly significant. In the grand scheme of videos talking about creators, it might be one of the smallest that's ever been made. I don't think there's a video that's ever been made on me that has been as few views as this. But anyway, I don't do reaction content and never will again. He has since then, so that's a lie. I understand you want to use me as an example, and I'm not going to ask otherwise. Apparently, he's now complaining that I used him as an example, so showcase that is not the case. I would kindly ask that you instruct your audience in some way to not harass me anymore. To be clear, there was no evidence that my audience harassed him in any way, shape, or form. I have a hard time making my audience do anything. And certainly nothing I did intentionally inspired that. The ramble itself was much delayed after these events. Many, many, many days. It was, I guess, old news by that point. I can't get 100 people to click a link, let alone navigate to a Twitter that I myself didn't link in any capacity. It's been a week of non-stop attacks and they ramped up bad this morning. I don't have that much clout to be able to do this. And things on Twitter do not last traditionally a week. When did this video even come out? This was such a Tuesday moment for me. It was just a complete non-thing that I barely paid attention to, which is why I didn't respond to his emails. No one cared. So this email came the same day that my video came out. He emailed me at 6:30, so here. He emailed me when the video had 11,000 views. All those people couldn't even have been finished watching the video at that point. As he says here, I do a lot of content that throws others under the bus. So this is something he does all the time. I think it's really important to do such without encouraging attacks on people involved. There's nothing I did to encourage these attacks. I don't think any attacks occurred. He has never shown any of the things that he claims exist. And so I linked, because I don't want to engage with this person. He seemed very unwell. So I just linked the thing where I explained why I don't do this, because I think doing that causes harassment. And he says here, I super disagree with this point, and I've seen the difference in my own community since I started asking over the last few months. See, he's not saying here that this link is me asking people to harass people or something, because that's false. He knows that's false, but he says it in that tweet that we just showed before. Would mean a lot if you just pinned a comment saying something similar to what I showed above. I promise it makes a difference. Even if not the amount of harassment I get, it's a good faith builder. Yes, it doesn't change the amount of harassment that a person gets. It just inspires people to care about harassment. It's performative. It doesn't actually do anything. The amount of people who even go down into the comments is like a tiny, tiny fraction of the amount of people who actually watch a video. I left a comment on your vid. I feel like you characterized me as a creator who exclusively does reaction content. I didn't do this. Final thoughts, might make a vid, but honestly, I'm so done with this shit that I probably won't bother. The video, so at this point it's got 17,000 views. Reaction content is lazy, sure. My reaction content is significantly more effort than any drama coverage I've done. The drama has significantly better return as well. Low effort drama content is both lazier and more harmful. You've picked a weird enemy and become an even worse actor in the space as a result. I didn't pick an enemy. He was attacking a small Twitter account and dogpiling them on Twitter. I've at no point have I ever in my entire life thought of Theo as an enemy. He's just a dude who has a crazy obsession with me because he fucked up on Twitter once. I have made videos that far less tame about endless people, and I've never had this weird response. I'd encourage you to really think through the differences between poorly researched drama content attacking smaller creators compared to reaction content on smaller creators. To be clear, the coverage wasn't because I had an interest in Theo as a content creator or anything like that. As Elias has talked about since then, there seems to be this huge stigma, as I've now experienced, about people exercising their copyright. That people do a lot of work and they exercise their rights over that work and they get a huge backlash. That's what the conversation was about. It was something I was interested in then, I'm still interested in now. And I've myself experienced that very recently. Theo as an entity doesn't matter to me. He could have been named Charlie McFiggins, and this could have been about puppies, a video on puppies. It would have been interesting to me for that basis. It was the interaction that I cared about, and the social psychology of the whole thing. You succeed in your goal. I'll never make reaction content again. I never believe when people say this, and I have every right to believe that. The Twitter attacks were enough for that. I didn't attack him on Twitter. To be clear, he obviously attacked someone on Twitter. To what degree I responded to that is not necessarily an attack. It is a conversation. I don't think I was calling him names or anything along those lines. It was just a communication. The rest makes me never want to do content again. Well then, chat, I give a bit of word of advice. Sometimes in business, there can be miscommunications. Things happen, okay? In this particular case, what Theo did instigated this disagreement. If in any case where you have a disagreement with another content creator, another company, whatever the hell happens, attacking them on Twitter is never a good move. Never. It just never a good move. Especially when you're the person who's, initially at least, acted poorly. You're better off just keeping that shit in DMs, keeping it away from the public eye, and the person who initially brings it to the public eye is usually going to look pretty bad if they're the one punching down. If you like, I can tell you how many people watch videos versus how many people comment, at least to some degree. So on the video in question, that got 64,000 views, there was only 600 comments. What percentage is that? That's really low. Now you can assume that maybe those 600 were invested in the multiple topics in the video. What percentage of those would navigate the Twitter on their own? I mean, the percentage that actually even knows anything about Twitter or cares about Twitter or has an account on Twitter. The amount that will go there on their own, then find Theo and then say something mean is obviously going to be very, very low, especially when I didn't link Theo in any capacity. I know I'm giving Theo a little bit of too much credit considering that he's clearly lying, but I just want to demonstrate how silly the claim is on its face. I'd be surprised if even 10 people moved over and actually said something to him. As a person who experienced literally 10 million views from some of the largest content creators ever, I can tell you, I received some comments, but it wasn't the hundreds even, I don't think. Maybe, but the concept is just absurd. To this I said, on Theo's malicious nature and lies. Hello, I released a video recently on Theo. My video specifically documents that not only did I never start a harassment campaign against Theo, I merely defended those he was harassing who were grateful after the distress he caused. This was not a large video, getting 50,000 views at the time. I made a second video now only because he has been lying about these events and me for the past year, and lied about them again just a few days ago. He is again lying now. Literally, like, even just numerically, he is lying. There is no interpretation of Theo's actions presently or in the past, or my actions presently or in the past that hold this interpretation true, and the video shows this very clearly. As I noted in the video, Theo considers anyone showcasing his lies or vindictiveness as a form of harassment. He has almost constantly cruelly attacked others, but lacks any self-awareness to see that. He and I have interacted very little, and I have kept it that way intentionally. He, however, keeps talking about me, asking me, and emailing me despite this. That link, as he well knows, does not say what he claims. As one of the replies has noted, if you have even a shred of trust in Theo, watch the video. I don't need the views, but you should know what sort of monster you are supporting. My opinion is not unique to me, as I've now shown you guys. I have since discovered it is the majority opinion. It is potentially not news to most people that Theo is a cruel, vindictive egotist. I pity all who need to be involved with him in any capacity. So he says here, I follow up, never got a response. If I wasn't insane, I probably would have stopped making videos after the literal hundreds of times his viewers called me an F slur and R slur, I guess. For the sake of future small creators he may decide to attack, I'll be responding this time. To be clear, he was just attacking a smaller creator at the time. I had an audience of 50,000 people. And the one example he gives of a message that is apparently from my viewers is this. Quality audience you got there, Matt. This is a random comment, not seemingly from anyone related to me. This guy touched kids. The fuck you talking about just lying? Sound familiar? Hundreds of times was he apparently called slurs in the past. Hundreds. And so let us now together watch the video where he claims I said harassment is okay. As I say here, in the same way Theo lied saying literal hundreds of his viewers called me F slur and R slur, something even a fool would see as false. The link he shows does not say I think harassment is okay. I will provide the 4-minute clip for those who do not yet believe Theo is a liar. Like I said, he claims something about a link that if you just watch the link, you can show is not true. The uselessness of saying, don't harass this person. I was watching The WAN Show with Linus Tech Tips. He was being accused of dismissing a person because her not accepting his advances in some way, which is nonsense, especially if you know him. But what interests me about this story is at the beginning of him talking about this, defending himself, he says, don't go harass this person. I don't want that. That's not what this is about. I just want to clear the air, put my story out there, all that jazz. And he goes into detail like this. And then he explains everything. And then like towards the end of this discussion, Luke is like, yeah, so it seems as though people are out there saying garbage things to this person on Twitter. And I looked and like immediately, like I was watching this live, this person had received so much backlash that they had already protected their tweets. And it again highlights saying, do not go harass a person does nothing. No person needs to be informed that harassing a person is bad. The sort of person to harass a person or to send mean tweets and stuff and bombard a person like that isn't a person you can dissuade by saying, don't go message this person. It is also sometimes the case that what an individual is doing isn't considered by them to be harassment. And it can be the case that that individual message isn't particularly hateful, but when there's thousands of people sending basically the same message, it feels that way to the recipient. all you do really by saying, don't go message this person, is put in the minds of bad actors who are watching you that this is something I don't want you to do, and they'll go do it just to spite you. Either that or people who wouldn't have thought about doing it and now like, oh, going to message this person. You know, I hadn't thought of that before, but now that you've mentioned it, I'm gonna go do it. The only way to stop people from being garbage and sending hate towards people is to not give them the ability to, as in you just hide their name, or give as little air to that concept as possible. The only reason to ever say, don't go harass this person, is to protect yourself from disingenuous people who will imply that the result of your viewers will always be your fault. The reason why I say this is disingenuous is because once you are at a certain size, it is impossible to not have assholes who watch you. It's impossible. Even if 0.001% of people harass people or say garbage or whatever, it will seem like an avalanche, a torrent to the person who's receiving it. And there's never going to be actions that you can take that can truly prevent that from happening once you get to a certain size, outside of just making it as difficult as possible for the people to find that person. You can put up barriers to entry, but they'll never be 100% because people can, figure it out for themselves. It's very hard to explain a story without having some information about who you're talking about. You should negatively judge a creator, not based on their mechanisms of preventing such things, but more to what degree they seek to inspire such things. We've seen people, creators who have weaponized their community, who've said, go dislike this person's video, go send hateful things to this person, report this person. You can judge people poorly on that basis. But this widespread judgment of creators based on the poor actions of their viewers, I don't think is justified just on the basis of those poor actions. There has to be some incitement, some willful inspiring of those actions by the creator for it to reflect negatively on that creator. Just too often do I see people being like, oh, this viewer of this person said something mean. Clearly that creator is now a terrible human being. It's just dumb. Whether or not the people who make such arguments are knowingly speaking false, I don't know, but people should be cognizant of that. You cannot control millions of people. You can only make it a little bit more difficult. And as I say, I don't think saying don't harass people really has any impact other than just puts into people's minds, hey, this is something that you could do realistically. And everyone who just wants to fuck with you goes, oh yeah, you don't want me to do this, then I'll do it anyway, right? You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it's a 4-minute explanation talking about why I act as I do, my motivation being to reduce the harassment that people experience. I think it's a very good ramble, talking about how we can, even in our attempts to try to prevent something, we can inadvertently inspire that very thing we're trying to prevent. That ultimately the main reason you want to say don't harass this person has nothing to do with actually preventing harassment. It is to protect yourself from disingenuous attacks like the ones that I'm now getting from Theo. And because my interest is usually more about preventing harassment than just protecting myself, I don't do such things. Because I'm less interested in protecting myself and more in potentially protecting other people from experiencing things that are negative. Like, it's literally a 4-minute explanation explaining that I am selfless and I'm willing to take risk upon myself to prevent hardships that I don't want other people to experience. And his take on this was, Dark Viper thinks harassment's okay. So under Theo's tweet, there were many comments saying that obviously Theo was in the wrong, there's no excuse for what he did, and that he's clearly lying, as my video obviously shows very clearly. This, of course, caused Theo to block me and all those people. To which I said, while Theo will no doubt continue to lie about these events and me in the future, I would appreciate not being sent this further. There is no one alive who would view his actions then or his actions since favorably. It is why comments, even from his own viewers, are negative when they find out. He didn't apologize as any decent person would. All he had to do was just not draw attention to his cruelty and ego further. He just can't help himself though. It is a degree of self-sabotage I cannot understand. Why continue to say things that are verifiably false with one click? Understand, this is just the tip of the iceberg with Theo. His reputation is awful for reasons entirely unrelated and for good reason. Hi, just thought I'd add this. I'm just going through all my DMs and people send me stuff, obviously. So this tweet from Theo he deleted, went to find his original video about me from over a year ago and he deleted it. He knows he has nothing to stand on. Obviously this video is accessible via the playlist of my rambles that's on my rambles channel. I did not specifically remove this video about Theo. It's just that I unlisted literally every ramble that's on my main channel, which is like 370 rambles. He is obviously not special, and it is still accessible if you want to go watch it. Theo says, proud to be on the same list as Linus Tech Tips and Moist Critical of people Viper obsessively grabs old dream clips of to make shitty dunk content. I've really made it, huh? Obviously, The video I made about Linus Tech Tips was not dunking on him. It was fairly supportive of what he was doing. And that video was about very recent content at the time. I think the latest WAN show. And my response to Charlie also was about his newest footage. Neither my video about Linus Tech Tips or Charlie had any old footage in it. This is just him hallucinating stuff, I guess. Especially as obviously what inspired the video on Theo was stuff that he had said either that day or the day before. It was obviously new footage. I have never once mentioned him in a video, so YTKS, you can search a person's channel, so he has mentioned me once in a video.
DarkViper's gonna have a fucking aneurysm if we're not careful. Let's go!
That was November 27th. I don't recall bringing him up in Discord. I don't know of his Discord. I don't know anything about that. He's brought me up on Twitter many times. I vented on stream once in an unlisted VOD, but that's literally it. In my video alone that I made, I showcasing him doing it twice in 2 different streams.
And then tweeted about it because I was pissed at them. And people got mad at me because this random fucking asshole schizophrenic dude from Australia, who's been a washed up GTA streamer for like 5 years now, decided that reaction content's why nobody watches his stuff, and decided to make me the target of his 2 million subscriber audience when I had 20k subs.
If you don't want to interact with me, stop lying about me. It's that easy. Accept that you fucked up and move on. We all do it sometimes.
DarkViper's about to get canceled so hard too. It's gonna be really entertaining. Yeah, he's been suing smaller creators now, which is really fun. And specifically got shut down by YouTube so hard that he hired more lawyers to go after them. He's just fucking insane. Like, actually insane.
So obviously none of that is true. Theo, this is what happens when you use someone named ChudLogic as your main source of information. I may not have driven home the connection between Theo and ChudLogic very well, but here is him literally tweeting at ChudLogic. They obviously know each other. Theo considers what he does and says acceptable. He tweets at him, he knows him, and obviously he considers ChudLogic and what he and his little drove does to be quite acceptable. Technically that VOD is paid only. This is not true. This is the VOD. It is unlisted. Streamed 3 days ago, 14,000 views. The other VOD I talked about was available only to paid subscribers on Twitch, but I didn't show any footage from that. I just read the transcript. Again, while I do just discuss the transcript of what he said in this following section, in later sections, I do show Theo saying many of these same things. God, I can't remember his name. DarkViper. The worst. Good point. I should DM CM for using paywalled content of mine in his video. Not only would my usage still be fair use, it wasn't paywalled content. You can go access it yourself at this link. I'm showing here it's unlisted, and this is here. It was linked to me by Ortic, which I don't think he cares if I show him in the video. And yeah, just more false things that Theo's claiming. So one of the problems of bringing up a compulsive liar, especially when there's willing to block you, is that they will continue to lie, believing that you won't see their continued lies. So I will occasionally be shown other stuff, so we'll go through a bit more. He says here that I've harassed a smaller streamer for years afterwards. I don't even think it has been multiple years at this point, but obviously I haven't harassed him for years. The only interactions that we've had are when he's insulted and lied about me on his live streams. And I've only referenced that twice, and I could have referenced it more because I have received other DMs about this. And I have again seen him on Twitter do this more than just in his live streams. I went through this one before, but I have now seen evidence that he has also discussed me on Discord, so I'll mention that here too. I don't recall bringing him up in Discord. As far as I'm aware, he has been obsessed with me for over a year. The year and 2 months or whatever that it's been. The exact numbers, whatever. And has therefore discussed basically every single small snafu I've had since that time. Considering that the company send kind words to the person who sent a damn army after me for a misunderstanding, I reserve my right to be a bit petty. Theo attacked and harassed Honeypot on Twitter for days in multiple messages, causing a whole audience of people to dogpile on them and to hate them for something when they did nothing absolutely wrong. Obviously this is deserving of criticism, and all I did was criticize that. That's it. Theo says here, I reached out twice during the initial drama and he refused. He was adamant about any communications being public and already saying what he needed to. To be clear, Theo has already admitted that I did not respond to his emails. I had no reason to respond to his emails. Therefore, there was no way I could have communicated that I needed any communications to be public. He's already admitted that this didn't happen. And he's now lying in a way that, like, his previous messages showcase that he is lying. This was a non-issue, a small, tiny blip in the entire universe that no one really cared about. It was like news for like a day. It's only Theo that makes this issue still a thing. All he had to do was apologize and admit to his mistakes, and it would have all gone away. But he needs to keep building this up, that I'm a master of armies, throwing them at people. All he had to do was not harass someone on Twitter. That's it. He just couldn't do it. Viper here, inadvertently spurring him on, saying, just say, I offer to discuss the issue privately and find resolution, and I don't think that public discourse is in good faith. This, of course, is not true. But apparently now Theo is going to start his response video with that. I just wish people like Theo couldn't so easily take advantage of people who seemingly mean well. Mike, if you ever see this, please do not indulge Theo's lies. These are all demonstrable lies. All this happened because he brought me up in his live stream. That's it. Multiple times. It's just, I just don't understand why he's sabotaging himself to this degree. And if he really wants to make a video, what's he going to show in it? It is entirely possible that Theo has enough of an ego that he will just lie, but I suppose I have enough of a negative perception of online communities that I'm sure people will buy such lies. I mean, that tweet, which, you can Google and then check and find out it's false, or just you can look at the link and realize it's false, that has like 350 likes. So I guess, as I say, there may be another video coming where I tear Theo's whatever video he makes anew again. But as I say, if you haven't seen the video, I highly recommend going watching it. It's a good video. It was very funny that Theo was claiming that my audience is full of people who use slurs and stuff. But in his videos, he represented that he has an interest in Chud Logic and his band of miscreants who just, their whole language is just using slurs. Very serious comment. Very sad to hear that DarkViperAU is currently undergoing tests for gay turbo AIDS. Like, I include them in here, and the idea that Theo would suggest that the usage of such language is a bad thing and representative of some negative in society, but then support people like Chud Logic and people like this who use this language as a constant basis where I do not, and my audience does not either, is insane. Theo's double standard on this is so amazingly apparent. I just don't understand why he is boosting this stuff. And here, so he wrote this comment and then deleted it. 2 minutes in and already counted 3 lies. Looks like you're getting what you want. The Dark Viper problem video coming soon. Again, I want nothing to do with Theo. I think he is actually unwell. Like, I'm not saying that in the same way that like Hassan says that about me. I legitimately think Theo is unwell. One of the things I said in the video is question how much Theo actually believes these things. I honestly do. At least some of what Theo is saying, he doesn't actually think is false. When he says he had a few thousand subscribers and I had 2 million subscribers, I think he actually probably believes that. Psychological defense mechanism is to misremember and rewrite your own memories to safeguard your own ego, your own perception of self. I think he legitimately believes these things. I hope he took the time to watch the entire video where I showcase that these are lies, but given that he tweeted out those exact same lies, I'm not sure that he did. An interesting thing that he said there is that he believes that I want these videos to be made. In large reason, I make these videos so people shut the fuck up. I would think that any rational human being, when a video is showing that everything they're saying is false, will at least to some degree take that in, but Theo just can't. It would destroy him. To, even for a moment, actually be able to look in the mirror and see who he actually is. Like, obviously these videos perform far worse than just any of the other videos that I have. That actually, like, even my worst performing videos in my niche of GTA 5 perform better than these videos. Like, I've got a bunch of compilations of facts and glitches just sitting on the back end. I've got like, another 15 that I'm working on making that will all do better than these videos. I could have not thrown away 5 days making these 2 videos as I did, and I would have received far greater reward for it. It's as I said in my community post. On drama videos, I apologize for releasing videos refuting false claims other creators make about me. I am aware I am somewhat playing into their game and, as I've discussed in rambles, I don't really think it'll ever do me much good. It, however, still feels necessary to explain the truth in any situation where I uniquely have information. I hope some enjoyment can still be found in these videos. Rest assured that normal content is still being worked on and will come out. Often these refutative pieces are time sensitive and thus take precedence. One more will release today, which is the Theo one, and then maybe the need for more later. I wish you all the best. As I do have a team of people editing for me, there is still always GTA stuff being worked on. As you can see, I just showed members. Like there's, 5 videos sitting here. The videos will come, so you don't have to worry.
You think it is also a bit cathartic to do so? You made it and now you can link it instead of explaining again.
That is in a large part why I can want to make these videos, so that whenever Theo starts lying again, this video can just be linked to by whoever wants to communicate that information. It'll probably end them getting banned, but I mean, in places where Theo doesn't control, when he brings up this stuff, people can just link the video. Don't know if you saw it, but Theo says Charlie and Someone a Gamer are scared of you targeting them again, so they follow you on Twitter. Hilarious. That's fucking funny. Both Someone a Gamer and Charlie could crush me. Mudahar's videos on that issue got way more views than mine did. And I still contend to this day that he was very much so in the wrong. And hindsight has very much demonstrated that. But no one bats 1,000. I think Moodha's a decent fella. Especially as far as YouTube is concerned, he's a great man. I mean, compared to the world, he's a decent dude. He's a good guy. But compared to most YouTubers, he's great. You know? And Charlie, of course, a good dude as well. Will you respond to Theo if he makes another video? Yeah, of course. If he wants to Streisand effect his mistakes from the past, feel free.